How to fix Ubuntu not booting after install. If you have just installed Ubuntu and find that it is not booting, you are not alone. This can happen for several reasons, often related to bootloader or firmware settings. Let's walk through some steps to get your system up and running. First, check your UEFI boot settings. When you start your computer, access the BIOS or UEFI setup. This is usually done by pressing keys like F2, delete, or escape. Once in the setup, look for boot order or boot priority options. Make sure the Ubuntu bootloader is selected as the first boot option. If you do not see it, you may need to manually add it by navigating to the EFI partition and selecting the appropriate EFI file, like shimk64, EFI. If that does not work, you might need to repair or reinstall the GRUB bootloader. GRUB stands for Grand Unified Bootloader and is responsible for loading Ubuntu at startup. To do this, boot from an Ubuntu Live USB and select the option to try Ubuntu. Once you are in the live session, install and run the boot repair tool. This tool automates the process of fixing bootloader issues. After running the recommended repair, reboot your computer and see if Ubuntu boots normally. If the problem persists, verify your installation media and disk partitioning. Make sure that the Ubuntu installation media was created correctly and is not corrupted. During installation, ensure that the disk was partitioned properly, especially the EFI System Partition if you are using UEFI. Sometimes, reinstalling Ubuntu with the correct partitioning can resolve boot issues. The EFI System Partition should be about 100 to 500 megabytes, formatted as FAT32, and mounted at EFI. Another step to consider is disabling Secure Boot if it is enabled. Some systems with Secure Boot may prevent Ubuntu from booting. Temporarily disabling Secure Boot in the BIOS or UEFI settings can help determine if this is the issue. You can also use EFI Boot Manager commands. From a live session or working system, use the command line tool called EFI Bootinger to view and adjust EFI boot entries. Make sure the Ubuntu entry is present and prioritized. If you still encounter issues, check the boot order to ensure Ubuntu is prioritized over other operating systems. If you see an error message like "No bootable device found," it usually means the firmware cannot find the Ubuntu bootloader. This can often be fixed by adding it as a trusted EFI file or repairing GRUB. Understanding how Ubuntu uses the GRUB bootloader can help you navigate these issues. Unlike other operating systems that may use different boot mechanisms, Ubuntu relies on this bootloader to manage the startup process. By following these steps, you can troubleshoot and resolve the booting issue effectively.